Lactobacillus helveticus
Got it.
R0052, it was one of the first strains identified for mood, and mental wellness. So we've been using it for some time, and it is already in our current Jarrow EPS, but in the new EPS that's coming out in, gosh, probably around 3 weeks, it will be in combination with other strains in which it works synergistically to further enhance mental wellness and the health of the gut as it pertains to the gut-brain axis. So our EPS formulations are enteric coated. Several of our formulations are enteric coated if they need to be to get into the gut where we want them. I do recommend a daily probiotic, or at least several days a week, because we really want to keep those good guys in the gut going strong. So we want to just add a little bit each day or several days a week to make sure that they maintain even when we have a stressful event or, bad dietary choices, too much caffeine, high saturated fat intake.
Right.
All of that will affect our probiotic health.
Welcome back to the Healthy Habit Podcast, episode number 91, folks. Happy 2024. It's been a great start this year to the Healthy Habit Podcast. If you're not subscribed yet, just hit that subscribe button and hit the like. That would help. Any comments? It all helps the algorithm, and our customers are loving the show. It plays while you're shopping in Healthy Habit, gives people an idea of what to look for while you're in the supplement store right there. You can listen after with the QR code. And for episode 91, we're talking with Hillary Nitschke, who began her formal training in herbal medicine at the University of Washington. Hillary also obtained a certification from the American Academy of Nutrition. And we have a similarity here. You went to, let's see here. You studied directly with Ric Scalzo, the original founder and formulator at Gaia. He's also founder of the Ric Scalzo Institute for Botanical Research at SCNM, now called Sonoran. I'm a graduate of Southwestern College of Naturopathic Medicine, so that's a good similarity there that we have commonality. And Hillary's had the good fortune of working with Jarrow Formulas for 25 years now, going on 3 decades. So thanks for joining us on the podcast here, Hillary. How are we doing?
You are very welcome. I'm glad to be joining you. I was recently in Phoenix and got the great opportunity to visit your fantastic store.
Did you?
So it was a pleasure to be there. And
First time?
Yes, and I got to spend some time with your staff. So
Amazing.
was
Yeah,
very
that's
glad to
great.
do it.
That's great. And where are you located currently?
I'm in the Denver area.
Got it. So 25 years with Jarrow. It's been quite some time since we've talked, probably since the radio. Jarrow Formulas. What's keeping you with this company for 25 years? Why are they a standout company and have been able to have such a good track record?
Well, certainly we are a legacy brand. Jarrow Formulas went into business in 1977. And we began doing our own in-house manufacturing in the very early 2000s with a, beyond compliant CGMP state-of-the-art facility in Southern California. And because we've always been so dedicated to really using therapeutic dosage amounts of nutrients that work and creating formulas that are salient to what's going on with people, right? It's been easy to stay there because there's so much to talk about. There's so many good reasons to be there. And as a brand, we believe in encouraging that customers need to look at their health in a holistic way. They need to ask questions,
Right.
and we're here to provide the answers. You are as well, right? And we are with the products to back up the answers to those questions. So that's why I've stayed with the brand for so long.
Amazing. And so what we wanted to do today is, it's winter time. People need the immune system benefits right now. A lot of people have been coming to the store and our clinic here for immune system issues, congestion, sinus, cough, dry cough, all this kind of stuff. So tell us of the angle of probiotics in Jarrow. I think you mentioned there's a brand new line that's coming out here. Let's hear your thoughts on probiotics, and we'll connect it to the immune system today.
It's so interesting because many people, and in modern Western medicine, we don't do a good job of looking at how can we holistically treat the whole person? How
Right.
can we look at things prophylactically? How can we stop something bad before it starts
Right.
by building up something good? And really, I mean, we have trillions of microorganisms, many of which, or most of which, live in the gut, although they're on our skin, they're throughout our mucosal membranes, throughout
Right.
the body. And maintaining that uh, healthy balance and high balance of beneficial bacteria makes a difference in every part of how we function in the world in a healthy way. So this means when we have a healthy gut microbiome, we are less susceptible to disease, right? And the gap junctions, the cell walls of the intestines, when they're healthy and tight, we have less susceptibility to things entering the system that shouldn't, that then set off an inflammatory cascade.
Right.
In addition, what I find the most fascinating is that our microbiome, these are microorganisms that are separate, right, from our human cells. And yet they coexist with our human being
Wow.
and they communicate with our immune system.
Right.
So it's on many levels. It's maintaining the integrity of the gut walls, but it's also keeping the immune system within healthy guardrails. Like when I always kind of, I hope internally, not externally, roll my eyes when somebody says to me, "Oh, I have a strong immune system." I'm like, "Well, do you understand what that means? Because a
Right.
strong immune response can sometimes be over the top, too much of an immune response, right? And
Sure.
that's what can make us ill. And our commensal bacteria speaks to our immune system and helps to control the amount of inflammatory cytokines that we release on an ongoing average daily basis, and also on the basis in which we're exposed to pathogens,
Wow.
right? Because if you don't overexpress your inflammatory markers, your inflammation, then you don't feel sick, right? So it's not always a matter of, oh, I didn't catch it, which is great if you didn't catch it, but did you catch it and not get ill because your body was able to handle that pathogen, that
Wow.
invasion?
And
And
so
in
that's amazing. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
And in addition to that, what you mentioned that I wanted to talk about today was also the gut-brain axis, or the brain-gut axis, and it's biodirectional. We're learning, right? That it's many people refer to the gut as our second brain,
Right.
and the gut communicates with the brain, and the brain communicates with the gut as well. So we're learning that this not only has an effect on our immune health, the way we look at it, right? Winter wellness. Are we catching colds and flus and other viruses? But also, how are we feeling emotionally? And people often talk about, for instance, even with a head cold, oh, I'm spacey, I can't think,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, how much of that is managed by our microbiome? And that,
Fascinating.
yeah, it is fascinating,
Yeah.
and we're learning more and more. I mean, we have 500 million neurons that innervate the gut. So we've got neurons that are within the gut
Right.
that communicate via the vagus nerve with the brain. This is how we're producing serotonin in the gut. This goes up to the brain, right? And then back down to the gut. And yes, you can see here a variety of
Right.
our probiotic offerings. Oh, I love that one, the Femdophilus Advanced Care, which is our one-stop shop for women, from
Mm-hmm.
digestive and uh, GI health to vaginal urinary tract health and immune care.
And for those of you following online, we're at jarrow.com, JARROW.com. And just go to collections and you can see they have a whole probiotic, prebiotic section here on their store. Definitely one of your areas of specialty. Can we say it with Jarrow? That's one of the areas
Indeed, it
where you
is.
guys stand out.
Yes, indeed it is. And our founder, Jarrow Rogovin, was actually a founding member of the International Probiotics
Wow.
Association as well. And the International Probiotics Association is really one of the key driving forces of the clinical trials that have validated these studies on everything from how the microbiome affects immune health to brain health to
Right.
we've got, as you just passed by, our prenatal probiotic that maintaining proper microbial balance in the vaginal canal and urinary tract actually can inhibit preterm birth. So
Wow.
it's more than just keeping the mom healthy, it's keeping the baby healthy. The baby with the vaginal birth, of course, passing through the birth canal is exposed to the mom's probiotic bacteria,
Right.
and that's where a baby starts their immune system, is that passage from the inner world to the outer
Yeah.
world.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. And so then if someone's looking for that general immune support, of course, it probably wouldn't make sense to go with, let's say, the GI specific one, like for the ideal bowel support. What would be a general one to get that immune system up and running?
Well, for women, we have the new Femdavlis Advanced Care, and for
Uh-huh.
everyone, men and women, we have the Jarrow EPS,
Okay.
is a great multi-strain probiotic, and we are coming out with a new higher potency Jarrow EPS that's really going to be addressing that gut-brain connection as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's fascinating to think about the fact that there's less than something like 50 completed clinicals on what we're now terming psychobiotics, right? So the probiotics that affect our mental wellness. But there are over 60 studies, in process and or in review right now. So over 60 studies initiated in the past 2 years. So the
Wow.
amount of clinicals that we have on that connection between the gut and the brain is going to really blossom in the next few years.
Hmm.
And something I always like to talk about, though, while we are coming out with a higher potency product, with probiotics, it's not about more being better. It's about better being better. It's about using those clinically documented strains, those strains that have been identified for their specific benefits throughout the body. And it's the American way to think more is better, right? It's like,
Right.
oh, if this one has this many billion more CFUs or this many billion, this many, tens or 20 more different strains, but are they identified strains? Do we know what they do? Have we identified that they have a benefit? I,
Right.
I like to use, there's a couple different analogies. Are you a dog lover? I think we probably have a lot of dog lovers in the
Yeah, we have
audience.
two dogs.
All right.
We
Well,
yeah,
this
we
is
love
going
them.
to maybe seem like a strange segue, but did you know that all domesticated dogs are the same genus and species? All
No way. I
domesticated
didn't know
dogs.
that.
So that means that a Chihuahua and a Pit Bull and a Border Collie and a Great Dane are all the same genus and species.
Okay.
But the breed is what really
Right.
gives
Okay.
us those differing personality traits, physical characteristics. So if you think about probiotics, you've got your genus and species, say uh, Lactobacillus acidophilus, right? But then that strain designation. So, for instance, I'm going to go to one that is a psychobiotic, and we brought it to market at Jarrow Formulas in one of the very first mood probiotics. That incidentally, we were before our time, and we aren't currently selling that product, but we are recreating it now. Jarrodophilus mood, the Helveticus R0052,
Hmm.
and you could look up Helveticus 52,
Right.
and I or 0052, and if you started with a Google search or went straight to PubMed, you'd begin to see the studies that verify that product. So how does it fit back in with dog breeds? Even if you were looking, I I was an ultra runner, distance trail runner, and I
Okay.
got a dog as a puppy that was a mixed breed, and she was supposed to be part border collie. Well, border collies will run and run and run and run. This dog actually turned out to be part bulldog. Bulldogs are
Wow.
not distance runners. Do you
Right.
see where I'm going with this? Like that's a physical characteristic and somewhat a personality trait, right?
Yeah.
That tells you how this dog is going to behave, even if it's a mixed breed. So going back to, if I just were to say, well, Helveticus is good for mood, really? Which one? Is it a toy poodle Helveticus or is it a border collie Helveticus?
Right.
Because they're going to have different characteristics. So if you don't have that strain identification, you don't really know. So this is
Interesting.
why
Yeah.
at Jarrow Formulas, we are always looking, right? We're always, our PhD, biochemists internally are always scouring for what are the best possible strains and what are we trying to do? What are the questions we're trying to answer with our probiotic products?
Right.
And then we choose the strains that we know are going to be effective for any variety of, if you want to call it, symptom pictures or states of well-being. More likely, if we're staying on a good probiotic regimen and a holistic living regimen where we exercise, where we get enough sleep, where we're
Right.
eating the
All that.
rainbow, right, all of those things, then when you supplement with a well thought out probiotic as opposed to a kitchen sink, oh, look, it's got 35 strains, right? But are they generic or
Yeah.
are they identified? So
Right.
those are the things that we really look for at Jarrow Formulas so that we can give our consumer the best product for their well-being.
And I got another
And
screen share coming here. This is just to really highlight this. I love going on Google and you go images,
yep.
not the general search. Go images, type in
Hmm.
probiotics, immune system, add the word scholar, and then boom, look at all these pictures that come up just to show you visually all the ways probiotics are having an effect on our immunity. Like just right in here, this illustration, enhancement of gut barrier functions, but then also there it is, immune system modulation over
Hmm.
here on the right, calming, even central nervous system signaling as well. Do you want
Right.
to add anything to that? This is a good way to visually see how important these probiotics are.
You know, the term a gut feeling has existed for a long time, and
Right.
many of us know that feeling when we have anxiety of any type that it affects the gut, right? But what people may not be connecting all the dots is what happens with that stress activation, right? So the amygdala is talking to the hippocampus, which is
Right.
releasing stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, which create that fight or flight, right? Which then creates all kinds of physical changes, right? We stop, our digestion slows, but we have more sugar in the bloodstream because
Mm.
that's what we use for immediate fuel.
Yeah.
Now, when this happens and you're not running from a saber-toothed tiger, but you're just sitting in your car, say, in
Right.
traffic, then now you've got all this extra sugar in the blood, which creates an inflammatory cascade, which then cycles back up. Your body goes, oh no, something's wrong. So
Yeah.
you might kind of begin to move beyond it. Maybe the traffic started moving or whatever that distressing story on the radio news has ended, and now there's something more interesting, and you've calmed down, but your nervous system has not, because now the message has gone back up to your brain. Emergency still exists, right? So now we keep that elevated stress response, and over time, this is increasing inflammation. You just showed that the the gap junctions of the cell walls of the intestines, right? When we have that inflammation, that gap junction begins to open, which
Yeah.
then infiltration of pathogens, which again increases inflammation. Do you see the vicious cycle
Right.
that's occurring here?
Yeah.
And sustaining that stress response, which then, how else is that affecting the body on so many different potential disease state levels? That elevated cortisol, elevated insulin,
Right.
what happens with elevated insulin, right? Sometimes insulin resistance, certainly the potentiation of diabetes as a result of an elevated stress response, and even the increased craving for sugars.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a vicious cycle. And when we start to understand how we can affect this both externally by with mindfulness, but
Right.
also internally with not only our food choices and exercise choices, but our probiotic choices, then we can come back into balance much more efficiently and quickly.
And how long has Jarrow been? You've been with them for 25 years,
Yes,
but how long have they been in a company in existence?
since 1977.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, quite almost, we're coming up to 50 years very
Right.
soon.
50 years
Yes,
coming up. Amazing.
yes.
So that's again jarrow.com, folks. You can go in there to do a quick review of all their products. And if we don't have one of them here at the store, we can always special order for you. And that can either be shipped to you, you come pick it up right here at Healthy Habit Health Foods. And we're located right at 6029 North 7th Street, 6010 29 North 7th Street. And let's give one more highlight here on, you said a new one is coming down the pipeline here, a new probiotic product through Jarrow. It's not yet out?
Yes. So it's going to be in the Jarrow EPS series.
Okay.
Currently, we have a 10 billion in two sizes. We have a 25 billion. We have a 50 billion, but this is going to be a 55 billion reformulation of the 50 billion because we're using this new cerebiome combination that includes that Helveticus 0052
Yeah.
and a few other strains that we know are very specific for calming the nervous system, for regulating the connection between the vagus nerve and the brain, helping not only potentially with the creation of serotonin, but the utilization of our neurotransmitters and the functionality of the gut as a whole.
So it's more of a comprehensive formula. It's not just probiotics in there, it's a certain blend through that Jarrow EPS series you mentioned.
Yes. And quite frankly, even our Jarrow EPS, our 10 billion, does contain that Helveticus, but it doesn't contain all of the strains that are part of the cerebiome. So when we do make a multi-strain product, we are looking at a lot of people just think about digestion, but again, we've already talked about how so many different factors go into digestion, right?
Yeah.
And we're looking at which bacteria, survive into the gut. Different bacteria are going to proliferate at different places in the gut, right? The colon versus the small intestines, for instance. So we're looking at a broad range so that we have probiotics that work throughout the system and that are working for more than just the simple, how do you digest your food? It's like,
Yeah.
how do you digest your life, right?
Right.
Or how does your life digest you, which is not what we want.
No, no, exactly. And you mentioned the Helveticus is in different formulas as well, not just in this brand new one that's coming. But quickly, let's slow that down for a second. Helveticus, what is that exactly? What is that, a probiotic strain? For
Yes,
all the listeners, let's
the
educate us on that.
Lactobacillus helveticus
Got it.
R0052, it was one of the first strains identified for mood, and mental wellness. So we've been using it for some time, and it is already in our current Jarrow EPS, but in the new EPS that's coming out in, gosh, probably around 3 weeks, it will be in combination with other strains in which it works synergistically to further enhance mental wellness and the health of the gut as it pertains to the gut-brain axis.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but there, quick summary on that. So I did another screen share real quick here, is exploring the potential of Lactobacillus helveticus. There it is, R0052. It's a
Yes,
specific strain through the Lactobacillus family,
yes,
which kind of like that dog analogy, same species, correct, but different breed of the
yes,
Lactobacillus. So that's in several other products at Jarrow as well, right here, jarrow.com. But look
yes,
for the brand new one again through that EPS line. Was that a good summary?
yes.
Beautiful. So that's the amazing thing. Like every single strain that's in a probiotic, it either has good research or it doesn't. It's like there's plenty of research right now on Lactobacillus helveticus through PubMed. If you even just search that right here in the search bar, you can find all kinds of research on that. So thanks for highlighting that, Hillary. Appreciate that through Jarrow Formulas. So last couple minutes to go here then. Is it something you would do daily? Take a probiotic? Are you more with meals, before meals, empty stomach? What's your philosophy there on taking probiotics and how often?
Well, again, going back to that breed analogy, different probiotics are going to have a different ability to survive the gastric
Right.
juices, the stomach acids, and we look at all of that. So our EPS formulations are enteric coated. Several of our formulations are enteric coated if they need to be to get into the gut where we want them. I do recommend a daily probiotic or at least several days a week because we really want to keep those good guys in the gut going strong. So we want to just add a little bit each day or several days a week to make sure that they maintain even when we have a stressful event or, bad dietary choices, too much caffeine, high saturated fat intake.
Right.
All of that will affect our probiotic health. So ideally, we are coupling this with good lifestyle choices, but everyone, you might choose a piece of birthday cake at a barbecue after you had a burger or something that you don't normally do.
Right.
And so you want to make sure that you're keeping in line with keeping those good probiotics on hand and taking them on a regular basis.
Amazing.
And It really, the enteric coated probiotics can be taken at any time.
Yes.
If in our case at Jarrow Formulas, because we pay so much attention to the strains and their characteristics, you can trust if we have a product that's not enteric coated, it's because it's hardy and it doesn't require it. So our non-enteric coated products, I would say take with a meal or at the end of a meal because that's when our stomach acids are lowest. Even though we're using hardy strains, we know they're hardy if we're not enteric coating. It's still that's for best chance of survival when stomach acids are lowered. The enteric coated strains you can take at any time because they're impervious. We
Got it.
also, our high potency Ultra Gut Rescue refrigerated Jarrodophilus also is a special formulation, not enteric coated, but protected from stomach acids in a
Wow, good,
different way.
great place to end it there. And give us just a quick, in about a minute, difference between enteric and non-enteric. What does that mean? That's referring to the capsule.
Yes,
Tell us about that for a second, then we'll close her up.
if a product is enteric coated, it means that there's a coating around the capsule that protects the interior of the capsule, indeed the capsule itself, from the stomach acids, because it means that there's something inside that capsule that you don't want to be damaged
Got it.
by
The stomach
exposure to
acid.
stomach acids. So what happens is the stomach acids probably affect that enteric coating, but the capsule won't dissolve until it gets beyond those stomach acids
Got
and
it.
goes to the place, in the case of probiotics, into the gut where we want it, unaffected by stomach acids. So you get delivery of those good microorganisms exactly where you want them.
Well, thank you, Hillary, for joining us here on episode number 91 of the Healthy Habit Podcast. This helped a lot of us, and our listeners here are going to appreciate this, I'm sure, highlighting probiotics. I mean, every day somebody's coming in for probiotics here.
I
So
believe
this
it.
is going to help a lot of people. Thank you for your time, Hillary.
Thank you for having me. I hope you'll have me back.
We'll talk to you next
You're
time.
doing good work.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thanks, Hillary. Bye-bye.
Bye.